When is beta coming for Diablo Immortal? Will it be a smooth transition over, and are we going to get everything all at once? I have Nemo with me today, and we're going to be talking about all these topics. What is up, my friends? My name is Echo, and welcome back to the channel, where today I have my good friend Nemo from the Scrappy Academy YouTube channel, and we're talking about the topics that I just had mentioned to you, because we've had discussions here before about beta, about release and all of that, but we haven't gone into as much depth as Nemo and I are going to be going into right here today. But before we get into any of that, make sure you subscribe to my channel and ring the bell for daily Diablo Immortal videos if you're into that thing. And check out Nemo's channel. It's going to be in the description of this video. If you like what he's got going on over there, go check him out as well. But Nemo, my man, thanks for coming through today. I appreciate you hanging out, man.
Oh, it's always a pleasure hanging out with Echo and the entire Echo fam and talking about one of the best games ever, right? So yeah, let's get started.
Let's get started. So let's talk about, first of all, beta release. And this is a topic that we've kind of discussed here before, that when we think beta is actually going to release in the chat on the out in the App Store. So I guess because my audience has heard what I've had to say in the past, what do you think for beta release? When do you think we're going to see this hit beta?
My opinion has changed recently, I have to be honest. So I sat there and I thought about this. I applied some scientific theory. I tried to do all kinds of crazy things to try to figure out like when is that coming. But realistically, at the end of the day, I honestly think that the actual game, so in order to find out when beta is coming, first we have to figure out when the game is coming, right? And like you build on any theory, first you have to make some assumptions. So let's make an assumption of when we think the game is coming. I personally think that the actual game is going to release sometime in August. And I'll tell you why. Because, for several reasons. One of the most important one is you normally don't want to release things during the holidays, during the last quarter of the year, because that's when most of the, most of your employees and stuff go on vacation, they have things going on, and they're not there to support the game. You want to make sure that all hands are on deck when the game goes live and global, so they can, fix little issues and bugs or whatever. So if I had to make an educated guess, an educated assumption, I would say that the game is not going to be coming out near the holidays. So that's probably, let's say the latest would be August, September area. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I was thinking early fall, so I was thinking more of a September, October. I like your prediction better. The sooner I can get it, the better, but I totally agree. Plus, they also have their investor call, and this is also something we've discussed in the past, where they were guaranteeing their investors, the money men, that there's going to be a game this year. So they're not going to push that too close to the end of the year, because if they let down their investors, they lose money. So it's got to be, as you're saying, late summer, and I'm saying early fall. So somewhere in there, I think we're pretty much on the same page there with our prediction of when we're going to see the actual release of Immortal. So, and I'll start here, because I think you kept talking so much, Nemo. I'm going to take my turn now. No, I'm kidding.
Go for it.
I think that we're going to probably see beta in March, April. That would be my guess for beta. And by the way, guys, Nemo and I did not talk about this before, so I don't know what his predictions are, and it kind of makes this a little more fun for us while we're doing this too. So what are your predictions? You shook your head like you agree.
I do. In fact, I think it's going to be March. I'll be honest with you, because there's two things here too. Like most of the time, people wonder like, what's going to happen? Is it going to be one beta? Is it going to be two betas?
Right.
Is it going to be like 12 different versions? Are we going to wipe things? And here's my assumption. So I'll say March. The reason is I honestly don't think it's going to be multiple betas. I think they're going to release beta to some sort of an external region, and then they're going to test there and slowly just release it to more and more and more. And then eventually one day it'll just go worldwide when it's there. But I think it's a better way to stress and test the system and kind of like go drip by drip versus just, opening up the floodgates, so to speak.
All right, so you kind of answered our other question there, Nemo, which was, is beta going to come and then go the way that alpha did? And what you're saying, and I agree with you. Well, actually, I don't know if I agree. I hope that what you're saying is what happens. But if beta is released in a region, maybe to content creators, long-term Diablo people, certain regions, and somewhat controlled release as the beta, typically in the past with other games, we've seen your strategy that you just mentioned happen. It would then be opened up to more and more people. In doing this, it tests to see if the game is going to be successful. It tests to see if there's any issues. It tests the servers. It's basically a massive test. And in the beta, though, I think in other games, I'm thinking Brawl Stars when I had beta, you're able to make purchases inside of the game during a beta, correct? or at least, right. So if you're able to make purchases inside of a beta, they will not take that away, which also answers another question. Will they then wipe it the way they did the alpha? Because Nemo and I both grinded max characters across the board in Diablo Immortal Technical Alpha, and those are gone. When we get beta, we have to start all over again. There is nothing there. I know it hurts. It hurts bad. But hey, one thing that's good, Nemo, at least we enjoy playing the game, right? So at least we have that going for us. But if you make any purchases, even if it's just the battle pass, they cannot take that away, because that would be basically stealing your money. You'd be using it for a temporary time. So when we get the beta, I mean, I'm sure we're going to hear from the employees at Blizzard if it's going to be something that's going to stay or be taken away. But if there's anything you could purchase, we could be guaranteed that the game is not going away. And then, Nemo, what you're saying is expanding outward and outward and outward was just going to be the method, which we were predicting would be a complete opening, floodgates open completely by August, September is kind of what we're sitting on right there. Did I summarize it well?
Yeah, pretty much to the point. It was one thing I forgot to mention too. During the Q3 financial call, the last one, not the one that just came around, they mentioned that the next phase of Immortal is going to be an external regional beta test. They didn't say multiple tests. They didn't say anything like that. But then again, if you listen to the Q4, they said there will be multiple tests going on. So I'm assuming that it's going to be, like I said, the first release into the external, and then they're just going to open it up to everything else. So just like pretty much what we just said.
Well, I'll tell you what I don't want to see is I don't want to get beta, grind, and then lose it again. Like that would kind of suck to have to do it again and then lose it again. Like, you know, I love playing the game, but I don't want to keep starting over again. I mean, I won't complain if that's what it is, but if I had my choice, I'd like for some progress to be kept. It would just make my time more worthwhile, I guess. But we also wanted to talk about what regions first, and will we get all of the game at once? So for the technical alpha, we received 4 classes and 40 levels, where in the release, we're going to get 65 levels or 60 levels. What was it? I forget. 60 levels 60. And 6 classes. That's what we're being told. Do you think when beta starts, we're going to have the entire game and we're going to have all 6 classes, or do you feel that they're going to still be adding stuff along the way? Because I don't know how far along the Necromancer Crusader are. I don't know how far along their PvP element of the game is. We haven't heard or seen much of that. So what are your thoughts?
This is a tough question. This is a very, very good question too, man, because I honestly don't have a very logical reason why we don't have the Crusader and the Necromancer. I mean, if you look at the alpha, it's super polished. So I feel like, yes, I feel like the Necro and the Crusader will come in the beta. I feel like, just like I said, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. As far as the open zones, do you think that the beta is going to launch fully, or are we going to like see certain parts? To be honest with you, I feel like it will probably launch fully. I feel like the game is probably going to be in like pretty much a finished state when we come to the beta. They'll probably be ready to just like start cleaning out bugs and things like that. But I feel like the overall high level of the game is probably by beta would be almost set in stone.
Now it's funny because I always go back to Brawl Stars because, and it's a very different game for any of you that haven't played that. It's like a top-down little arena shooter, you know, cartoony kind of game, but it was in beta for 2 years. Everyone said the game was going to be dead, and it started as a vertical game, and you would play Brawl Stars vertically on your phone during beta. Then they made a massive switch and made it a game that you play in landscape. I think it's called horizontal, and that was a massive. They completely redid the game. But you're saying, and I would have to agree. Now I know Supercell well, and I know Blizzard. I'm getting to know Blizzard fairly well. Supercell, they cross their T's, they dot their I's. They want to make sure that everything is done right, and they made a massive change. But Blizzard, I feel like they're even more careful on this step into mobile. They don't want to make any mistakes, and I don't think they would put something into beta unless if they thought it was pretty close to done. Like, and I actually mean done. I think that if they're going to be giving it to us in beta, it's going to be their complete game, and they're going to be looking for people to break it, have issues with it, things like that. Because when you look at what we got in alpha, I've never played an alpha that was as good as this. It was basically, if Diablo Immortal was to level 40 and was to the level cap or level 45 and with 4 heroes with no PvP, this would have been a done game. Obviously, there's other elements that they want to add. They want to make the levels higher, which is probably already done. It's probably all completed. They just didn't want to test that end game. They always mentioned to us they wanted us to test the initial gameplay of Diablo Immortal, which, I mean, everyone stretched that going to Paragon 170 something and things like that. So we tested and beyond, but I think that, well, I hope that with beta we get everything, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get some of the PvP, to be honest with you, just because I've heard so little. And I think I may be the biggest advocate for PvP, and it's come contested as well. In some of my videos where I'm talking about PvP, there are some Diablo community members who don't want it. They want seasons. They want to have old school Diablo because that's how action RPGs are. I'm kind of advocating for breaking that mold and adding some new features to it for longevity. But I don't know if Blizzard 100% knows what they're going to do with PvP yet, Nemo, and I'm curious to see if that's going to even be part of beta. Like in the alpha, we had a little test, like a little, here's an event, fight over this chest and get crushed by Leviathan. But, you know, there was nothing like, there was nothing substantial. It was like an event. I could see them doing this, having the game, having PvP events, and then having like seasonal type events that happen in the game. So maybe a special event would be, you know, a team deathmatch, for lack of better words, event, and then them test out to see how it does. I don't know what it takes for coding things like that into the system that they have built, because I am not a coder and I don't know what they have built. So I don't know how it would all work. To me, it sounds super complicated. I mean, obviously they understand how that stuff works, but I wouldn't be surprised if beta came with limited PvP. And they kind of threw tests in there here and there to see what would work and kind of go with what works.
That's an interesting point you take. So maybe the game, see, so here's the other side of this. Right, the other side of this, they did promise to the investors that the game will come out in 2021. So at the end of this year or sometime this year, the game is coming out. And if they promised that, they did promise a full version of the game. Their runway versus, like, let's say Brawl Stars, which had like a 2-year runway for the you know, for the game to develop in beta. Here's like 6 months. So I feel like you're right. There probably are those things that are coming to the game, and you're right. Maybe the PvP won't be launched as a full version when the game comes out, but they're going to be, you know, obviously going to continue working on it and probably be adding a whole bunch of stuff. But I wonder if it's going to ship, so to speak, as a full version. I don't know. It's a good question.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind if it didn't come as a full version, because that'll bring, you know, like I'm looking at this more than just like a mobile game. I'm looking at this as, you know, like a full release game, because that's really what this is. And you get excited for new features. Like every 3 months, every 6 months, something new, like big and new, is coming to the game. Like that's longevity on mobile. And a lot of people that don't understand longevity on mobile are really not people that play on mobile. The retention of players for mobile games is very low, because you could just go download a new mobile game that's going to spark your interest. So you have to always bring new content. Even games that are amazing that don't bring new content regularly, they struggle because people get bored. People's attention span, plus we have a younger audience on mobile as well. Not saying we don't have, you know, the older people as well, like myself and you, but we have a much younger audience because they just can download on their phone and play easily. And it's all free to play, or has free to play. You can play it for free whether you decide to or not. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to see the game launch with PvP, like a detailed PvP, but I also want to see more coming. And I don't see Blizzard saying, okay, here's the game, we're going to update it and patch it here and there just for little things, and that's the game. I don't think that's at all what's going to happen. Think of Clash of Clans. It launched with, you know, attacking in your leagues, and then 2 years later they brought war. And that PvP in Clash of Clans has this game going for 10 years. Because of war, it's now in esports and all of this. Without war and without all of this organized system that was brought later after release, the game would have never been where it is today. And I mean, Blizzard, they know who succeeds on mobile. They know that Supercell is one of the leaders, and they make games that last. And I'm sure that they're not putting a blind eye to it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, good, I mean, good point, 100%. And they probably will release it the way you said, and then add onto it. And you're right. Awards was like a massive thing for Clash of Clans. You know, that definitely changed the game. So plus, you know, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Wyatt and the team, I feel like they have a lot. They did state, right? They told us that there was a lot more to the game that we haven't seen. The alpha, technical alpha was just a little glimpse into it. And I kind of was like, what do you mean? Like, I could expect a few things, maybe like one or two things. Like, but no, they stressed that there was a lot of stuff that we don't know about, end game content, all kinds of stuff. I'm so excited for this. So you're right. This will prolong the game, and we don't know where it's going to go once it releases.
You're right, Nemo.
I don't know.
You're right. And that brings up another point, because that is something that Wyatt had said. He said that we are just seeing part of what they have in store for Diablo Immortal. So now that you just refreshed my mind with that, the way that that was said leads me to believe that other things are already there. Other things are already in place, and it's not ideas, but it's actual product. So that leads me to believe more that the beta will have more to it. I completely forgot that statement was made. And you know, they're very careful on what they say too. They don't say things that are going to make you think something that's not true, and they don't just say stuff out of excitement. Everything that we hear is pretty calculated, because they don't want any content creators going out and making assumptions and telling people things that aren't true. So they've been very, very safe, which I could respect, to be honest with you. I think, don't tell me something's going to be awesome and like this, and really it's just an idea you have. I feel like they really have everything locked down. So great point. I'm really glad that you brought that one up. So to summarize, Nemo, you and I think August, September, full release, global. Beta release around March, and it's going to then be opened up more and more. One thing we didn't cover is, where do you think beta is going to be? In the past, I've seen Canada. We've obviously seen Australia. I've seen Finland before. Are we going to see it here in the US for beta? I hope so.
I mean, you know what? I really like, honestly, I've done a little bit of research into this. Why does this happen? Does anybody know why they choose specific regions over others? I did some research into this, and about 4.5 hours later, I was a bit confused. There were a whole bunch of stories about it, but one main general story is that the best, like Australia and Canada, are for some reason the best place to test how the game will work, as far as the monetization systems, as far as like all of this stuff. There's like a pool of, I don't know why they tested there, but they have like benchmarks or something. So this is where they normally like to test. So I'm honestly probably gonna say, I don't think it's gonna be US, because US is too big. We're probably, you know, I don't want to say it, but we're probably gonna be one of the last. I'm gonna say Australia and Canada.
So get in your cars, drive up to Canada, download the game, and hope that there's not constant updates, because it's a trip. No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to come to us when it comes, but what we really need to focus on is that release date, which we're anticipating in the late summer or early fall. But beta is going to be great, because I mean, the day that I get the game in beta and realize it's not going away is the day that I never stop playing Diablo Immortal again. And I'll be playing this thing literally every day, streaming it every day, with you, with friends, with 150 people that we bring into our alliance. Because that's right, Nemo and I are going to have an alliance together, which is going to be sweet. And if it gets too full, we'll start a second one and a third, and we'll have an entire family. And if the PvP goes the way that I want it to, we're going to have some amazing events. But Nemo, any last things that we didn't touch on that you really would like to address? I think we really went in depth on this one today.
We covered everything. The only thing you forgot to mention is that we're about 5 hours away from Canada. So it's not that bad. We could get in the car and just drive straight there. It'll be like I'd say about 5 hours by border. We'll probably get there.
Nemo is kind of putting the location on us right now. So don't go showing up at my house. You have like a 10-hour radius as well, whatever. It's all good. So Nemo, I appreciate you coming through. I'm going to remind you guys again at this point in the video that Nemo does have his own channel. It's called the Scrappy Academy YouTube channel, or well, it's called Scrappy Academy. And he's doing Diablo Immortal over there as well. It's going to be really exciting when the game is back and he and I can both hit it hard from actually in-game rather than looking at the footage that we've recorded from when we had the alpha. But Nemo, thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure hanging out with you, with the entire Echo fam as always, and talking about the best game ever, right? I can't wait. I can't wait to start the guild, the clans, all the good stuff. Thanks so much for having me, Echo. I can't wait to be back.
No, it's my pleasure, man. I want to thank all you guys for sticking around, and I'm going to invite you personally to my Discord server, which was actually built by Nemo. He does that. He's a pretty genius of a guy. He built my server. It's an incredible place. I'm inviting you personally. If you're here at this point in the video, you are someone who should be in my server because you care about this game. And I'm really proud because the server is growing and the interest in Diablo Immortal inside of the server is also growing. We always have a full Diablo Immortal thread of people talking about the game with questions, ideas, and news that they bring. Just in case maybe I missed it, it gives me ideas for content all the time. And obviously the people inside of the server, they're going to be the ones that are like our OGs, the people that are really becoming friends, the ones that are going to be inside of our guild when the game launches. So come on through. I'll be linking that as the pinned comment down below if you want to be part on a deeper level. But for now, we're getting out of here. Nemo, again, thank you. And thank all of you for watching until the end. Hashtag made it down below if you are an OG. Have a great day, guys, and be good.